You're watching WUFT TV News.
The Clay County Sheriff's Office is facing a possible lawsuit after they incorrectly arrested a woman twice. Good evening, I'm Stephanie Matarazzo.
And I'm Colette Duchanis.
This isn't the first time the Clay County Sheriff's Office has arrested the wrong person. In February, Clay County deputies arrested 17-year-old Cody Lee Williams, who you see on the left side of the picture. They confused him for Cody Raymond Williams, who is on the right side. Cody Lee Williams spent 35 days in jail before authorities figured out he wasn't the man they wanted on a sexual battery charge. After that case, 3 deputies were disciplined, including a suspension and a transfer for one of the deputies. A Gainesville man faces multiple charges for fatally stabbing a dog that fought with his own. Daniel Brummett and Brandon Smith crossed paths while each were out walking their pit bulls. Police believe Smith tried to break up the dog fight by hand, but Brummett pulled out a knife, threatening Smith and then stabbing Smith's dog. Police say bystanders looked to stop Brummett but feared getting hurt. Brummett eventually grabbed his dog and ran away. Brummett is charged with assault and animal cruelty.
We were hit by very heavy rain earlier today. It definitely made it hard to stay dry when I was coming into work today.
Yeah, I got soaked when I was out running. We go now to University of Florida forecaster Tony Seduku to see if the rain will continue tonight. Tony? Thanks, Tony. Newly released numbers show a frightening trend in the citrus industry. The USDA reports production in Florida is projected to be down 22% this month compared to 1 year ago. Experts expect it to continue to fall. This week, industry leaders from across the state are in Bonita Springs for their annual state conference, and all eyes are on a disease that is killing orange groves. It's called citrus greening, and there is no cure. It's blamed on bacteria spread by a tiny insect that's as common as a mosquito in Florida. Just a few years ago, it was projected that greening had already cost $4.5 billion. Right now, the industry is looking at every option to counter it.
Short term, we've got some things like antimicrobials that can help trees in the ground. Those therapies seem to show some positive results. Actually heating the trees, heat treatment, is helping knock down the bacteria.
One long-term solution that's being looked at by the industry is genetic modification of the fruit, something many health advocates are against. A judge will soon hear what could be a landmark real estate case. Can investors take over a condo complex and force owners to sell at a loss? Diana Aulick explains why the plaintiffs feel their homes are being stolen. The situation profiled is not unique. There are cases like this all over the state of Florida as investors seek to profit from strong rental demand. A woman in Volusia County is accused of trying to steal lobster tails from a grocery store by hiding them in her pants. Police say this security video shows Nicole Reed grabbing 7 lobster tails at a DeLand supermarket and stuffing them into her pants. A loss prevention officer in the store alerted police. The responding officers say when they caught up to Reed, she told them she was going to trade the lobsters for money to buy painkillers. A Gainesville, Florida man is being blamed for crashing a Mercedes into CNN Center in Atlanta. It happened at about 4 o'clock this morning. The driver, 22-year-old Jeremy Javon Todd, told officers he'd been driving all night and fell asleep at the wheel. Police are skeptical because the car had to use the sidewalk to avoid barriers. They've charged Todd with driving under the influence, reckless driving, and marijuana possession. President Obama says U.S. ground troops won't be heading back to fight in Iraq. When we come back, we'll tell you what the president believes the next steps should be.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
President Obama says U.S. troops won't be heading back into ground combat with Iraq, as that country is losing cities to heavily armed terrorists. This weekend, Obama is expected to talk with foreign leaders about how to respond and make a decision in the coming days. A new report reveals that air traffic controllers are still working schedules that can leave them with little or no sleep before working overnight shifts. Officials with the Federal Aviation Administration promised 3 years ago to make reforms after nearly a dozen incidents in which air traffic controllers were sleeping on the job or didn't respond to calls from pilots trying to land planes late at night. The report released today expressed concern about the effectiveness of the FAA efforts to prevent fatigue. The report, which was sponsored by the government, stressed concerns about schedules that cram 5 8-hour work shifts into 4 24-hour periods. The shifts are called rattlers by those in the industry because they, quote, turn around and bite back. Some controllers like rattlers because at the end of their last shift, they have 80 hours off. The National Research Council, however, called the scheduling questionable and said it was astonished to find it was still allowed. And 4 more recalls for General Motors, including one for its popular Chevy Camaro muscle car. GM is recalling Camaros from model year 2010 through 2014 because company tests show a driver's knee can bump the ignition key out of the run position. That causes moving stalls, a condition that plagued the Chevy Cobalt due to a defective switch that turned too easily and may twist just from the rocking of a heavy item on a keychain. For Camaro owners, it takes a bump to move the key, but the problem is linked to 3 crashes, all with minor injuries. In comparison, the defective switch in the Cobalt is blamed for more than 50 crashes and at least 13 deaths. The 3 smaller recalls announced today are for Saab 9-3 convertibles, Buick LaCrosse sedans, and Chevy Sonic compacts. Well, Father's Day is this weekend, and I'm still planning on doing something with him.
I know my dad and I were planning on doing something outside. Tony, will there be any rain?
Unfortunately, I wish I could tell you there wasn't, but we are tracking.
Well, there's a lot of sports going on this weekend.
That's right. So, Rob, what's on tap in the sports world?
There is plenty to go around with the gym. And guys, on Monday, USA will be taking on Ghana at 6.
Well, I can't wait for that game.
I know, I'll be watching.
Thanks, Rob. More after the break. Stay with us. Thanks, Tony, and thank you at home for watching WUFT News at 6, a production from UF's Innovation News Center.
We'll have another newscast Monday on WUFT TV, but in the meantime, you'll find more local news at WUFT.com. Have a great weekend and happy Father's Day.